In the stillness of a moonlit night, an unsettling phenomenon unfolded on the outskirts of a forgotten town. Every tree, every fence line leaned inwards, as if drawn by an unseen force, creating an eerie, unnatural silhouette against the starry sky. The air crackled with an electric tension, a whisper of something ancient and powerful stirring in the darkness. A low, resonant hum vibrated through the ground, sending shivers down the spines of those who dared to venture close. Witnesses reported a profound sense of dread, as if the very essence of the field was alive, observing them with an intelligence far beyond human comprehension. What could cause such a strange alignment, and what secrets lay hidden in the heart of that field? As the trees swayed in unison, a chilling thought crept into their minds. This was not merely a natural occurrence, but a harbinger of something extraordinary, something that transcended the boundaries of reality. What mystery awaited in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? In the stillness of a moonlit night, an unsettling phenomenon unfolded on the outskirts of a forgotten town. The air was thick with a heavy silence, broken only by the soft rustle of leaves and the distant call of a lone owl. Yet something was distinctly wrong. As if orchestrated by an unseen hand, every tree, every fence line leaned inward, creating an eerie silhouette against the starry sky. The scene was both haunting and mesmerizing, a tableau of nature manipulated by forces beyond comprehension. The townsfolk, drawn by a mixture of curiosity and trepidation, gathered at the edge of the field. Their breaths hung in the cool night air like whispers of secrets yet to be revealed. A low, resonant hum vibrated through the ground, a pulsating rhythm that seemed to sync with their very heartbeats. It sent shivers down their spines, a primal instinct urging them to retreat. Yet their feet remained rooted in place, compelled by an inexplicable force to witness the spectacle before them. As they stood in a loose circle, the trees swayed gently, almost rhythmically, as if responding to a silent command. The weight of the atmosphere pressed down upon them, thick with anticipation. The air crackled with an electric tension, a whisper of something ancient stirring in the darkness, awakening from a long slumber. It was as if the very essence of the field was alive, observing them with an intelligence far beyond human comprehension. The shadows stretched and twisted, creating ghostly figures that danced just beyond the periphery of their vision, igniting their imaginations with the fear of the unknown. A chill ran through the group, each person caught in the grip of a profound sense of dread. They exchanged glances, their eyes wide with unspoken questions. What could cause such a strange alignment? Was it merely a trick of the mind, a figment of their collective anxiety, or was it something more sinister, a harbinger of events yet to unfold? The silence between them grew heavy, charged with their shared apprehension. They could feel it, an unseen watcher lurking just beyond the veil of reality, waiting for the right moment to reveal its intentions. The moon hung high in the sky, casting silvery rays that illuminated the field, enhancing the bizarre spectacle. Each tree appeared to be leaning toward a central point, as if drawn by an invisible thread, forming an unholy geometry that defied natural order. The fence posts too bowed in concert, their wooden structures warped and twisted, creating a chilling sense of symmetry that felt almost deliberate. The unnatural alignment seemed to pulse with energy, vibrating through the very soil beneath their feet, echoing in their bones. As the crowd grew restless, they began to murmur among themselves, voices low and uncertain. Some recounted tales of strange occurrences in the area, lights in the sky, whispers in the wind, shadows darting just out of sight. Others dismissed these stories as mere folklore, the product of overactive imaginations fueled by the isolation of their small town. Yet standing there in the presence of the leaning trees, they could not shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of something extraordinary, something that transcended the boundaries of reality. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the night. causing the group to jump. The sound came from the center of the field, a sharp report that reverberated with an almost musical quality. It was followed by an unnatural stillness, as if the world held its breath in anticipation of what would come next. The hum intensified, vibrating through the air, resonating within them, pulling at their very cores. Then, without warning, the atmosphere shifted. The wind, which had been a gentle caress, picked up suddenly, swirling around them with a fierce intensity. It carried a metallic scent, sharp and electric, mingling with the earthy aroma of the freshly turned soil. The dogs that had been barking in the distance fell silent, their instincts alerting them to a danger that the humans could not yet comprehend. A sense of urgency washed over the crowd, and they instinctively stepped back, their gazes locked on the center of the field. As they squinted into the darkness, a faint glow began to materialize. It pulsed gently at first, a soft amber light that illuminated the bent trees, casting long shadows that danced wildly across the ground. The glow intensified, revealing intricate patterns swirling within it, fractals that seemed to defy the laws of nature. The hum grew louder, becoming a symphony of sound, a chorus of frequencies that resonated with a depth that felt almost sentient, as if it were speaking directly to their souls. In that moment, fear gave way to awe. They were witnessing something beautiful, yet terrifying, a dance of light and shadow that transcended their understanding of the natural world. The trees, once mere witnesses to the night, now seemed to be participants in a cosmic ballet, leaning further inward as if to draw the onlookers closer to the heart of the unfolding mystery. But as the light reached its zenith, a sudden realization struck the hearts of the witnesses. This was not merely a natural occurrence. It was a prelude to something far more significant, something that would challenge their perceptions and beliefs. The sensation of being watched intensified, and a collective shiver ran through the group as they felt the weight of an intelligence that was not their own, observing, waiting. With every passing second, the tension mounted, and the air thickened with a sense of impending revelation. What secrets lay hidden in the heart of that field? What cosmic truth awaited them, concealed beneath the surface of their reality? As the trees swayed in unison, a chilling thought crept into their minds. They were no longer mere spectators in this unfolding drama. They were players drawn into a mystery far beyond their comprehension, and the night was only just beginning to unveil its secrets. The rural landscape was awash in a heavy silence, the kind that wrapped around the senses like a thick fog. Underneath the vast expanse of the midnight sky, the air hung thick with an electric tension, palpable and suffocating. Each breath felt like an intrusion, a disruption of the delicate equilibrium that had settled over the cornfield. The moon, a distant observer, shone down, casting a ghostly glow that only intensified the shadows lurking among the crops. The night was alive, yet eerily still, as if the world held its breath, waiting for the inevitable. The cornstalks, standing guard like sentinels, whispered secrets to one another in the faintest rustle of leaves, a language understood only by the watchful night. The chill in the air was more than just a temperature drop. It was a harbinger of the unknown, a warning that something extraordinary was about to unfold. From the distance, the soft crunch of footsteps echoed across the field, growing louder as a group of townsfolk made their way to the epicenter of the phenomenon. Their faces were a mixture of fascination and dread, illuminated by the pulsing glow that danced in the distance. The ground beneath their feet vibrated gently, an unsettling reminder of a power they could not comprehend. It was as if the earth itself was alive, responding to an unseen force that thrummed with an ancient pulse, igniting a primal fear deep within their beings. As they drew closer, the air thickened with a metallic scent, sharp and jarring, reminiscent of lightning just before a storm. Dogs whined in the distance, their instincts alerting them to something amiss. while horses shifted nervously in their stables, their eyes wide and wild. The silence was deceptive. It was not merely the absence of sound, but a prelude to the chaotic symphony that was about to erupt. Suddenly, the wind picked up, swirling through the rows of crops, carrying with it an otherworldly hum that resonated through their bones. It was a sound that seemed to originate from nowhere and everywhere at once, a chorus of frequencies that intertwined, creating a melody both beautiful and haunting. It was as if the very fabric of reality was vibrating in response to this inexplicable occurrence, and the townsfolk, rooted in place, could only absorb the awe-inspiring spectacle unfolding before them. The glow intensified, casting elongated shadows that twisted and contorted as if they were alive. In that moment, the cornfield transformed. It became a canvas for the unknown, a stage where the light performed its enigmatic dance. Shapes appeared within the glow, geometric patterns that spiraled and twisted, creating an intricate tapestry that defied the very laws of physics. It was a visual language, a cosmic script written in the language of light, and the audience found themselves entranced, their fears momentarily forgotten in the face of such beauty. Yet, the deeper the glow penetrated the night, the more palpable the tension became. A collective awareness settled over the group, an unspoken understanding that they were being watched, not by eyes, but by an intelligence that transcended their human comprehension. It was a presence that loomed over them, unseen yet felt, like the weight of 1,000 gazes boring into their souls. It was an unsettling realization that they were not merely observers. They were part of a greater narrative woven into the fabric of a mystery far beyond their grasp. As the light reached its pinnacle, the air crackled with an energy that felt alive, and the townsfolk instinctively took a step back. It was as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for something monumental to occur. The shadows deepened, and the hum transformed into a low, resonating pulse that thrummed with a rhythm akin to a heartbeat, echoing the fear and curiosity that stirred within their chests. Then, in an instant, the brilliance of the glow dimmed, plunging the field into an unsettling darkness. The abrupt change was disorienting, a stark contrast to the vibrant display that had just captivated them. The sound, too, fell silent, leaving behind an oppressive stillness that felt foreign and eerie. It was a moment that stretched into eternity, filled with unanswered questions and unfulfilled promises. What had they just witnessed? Was it a natural phenomenon or something crafted by intelligence beyond their understanding? The fear of the unknown gripped their hearts, and they exchanged nervous glances, each pondering the implications of what lay before them. Their minds raced with possibilities, each more terrifying than the last, as the realization dawned upon them that this night was only the beginning of a journey into the depths of cosmic mystery. Just as the darkness threatened to swallow them whole, a single pulse of light erupted from the center of the field, illuminating everything in a blinding flash. It was as if the very essence of the cosmos had decided to reveal itself, if only for a fleeting moment. In that instant, the geometric patterns reappeared, swirling with a frantic energy, and the townsfolk felt a magnetic pull drawing them closer, their instincts screaming for them to flee, yet their curiosity anchoring them in place. The light flickered and danced, revealing glimpses of something extraordinary, a cosmic truth that lay just beyond their reach. It was a sight that would forever be etched into their memories, a haunting reminder of what they had witnessed and the questions that would plague them long after the night had passed. They were no longer mere inhabitants of their small town. They had been touched by something greater, something that would linger in their minds, igniting a thirst for answers that may never come. As the last remnants of light faded, a chilling silence enveloped the field, leaving only the echo of their racing hearts. They stood there, frozen in a moment of disbelief, grappling with the enormity of what had just transpired. Beneath their feet, the ground felt different. as if it had been forever altered by the events of the night. And in that stillness, a single thought took root in their minds. They were not alone. Something had awakened in the darkness, an ancient presence that watched from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself once more. The night was far from over, and the secrets of the cosmos beckoned, urging them to seek out the truth hidden within the depths of the field. The journey had only just begun, and the mysteries of the universe awaited their discovery. As the pulse of light receded, leaving behind a vacuum of silence that enveloped the field, the townsfolk stood paralyzed, their breath shallow and their hearts racing in unison. Shadows danced at the periphery of their vision, elongated and twisting, as if the darkness itself had taken on a life of its own, whispering secrets that only the night could understand. The air felt charged, thick with an electric tension, as if the very fabric of reality had been momentarily stretched and now hung precariously, waiting for the next disturbance. A faint rustle broke through the stillness, a sound that seemed to emanate from the very earth beneath them. It was almost rhythmic, a low frequency that vibrated through their bones, echoing the fear and wonder that gripped their hearts. The cornstalks, once mere silhouettes against the night sky, now stood as sentinels, their dark forms swaying gently, as though they too were aware of the cosmic awakening that had just unfolded. With each whisper of the wind, they felt a presence, a knowing that they were being watched, scrutinized by eyes unseen. Martha, a local teacher known for her rationality, felt the ground pulse beneath her feet. It was as if the earth itself was breathing, alive and aware. She fought against the instinct to flee, her body rooted in place, a battle between innate fear and an unquenchable curiosity that surged through her veins. What if it's a sign? She thought, grappling with the enormity of possibilities. The light had felt alive, intelligent, almost sentient, and the geometric patterns it revealed were not mere shapes but a language, an invitation to decipher the enigma laid before them. "Did you see that?" Tom, a farmer with calloused hands and a heart full of skepticism, broke the silence, his voice trembling with disbelief. There was something in the light, something moving. His eyes darted around, searching for confirmation among the faces of his fellow townsfolk. They nodded slowly, sharing glances that spoke of shared fear and awe. A collective memory was being etched into their souls, a moment that would bind them in ways they could not yet comprehend. From the depths of the surrounding woods, a low frequency hummed, a sound that seemed to resonate with the very core of their being. It was a pitch that felt as if it originated from an ancient source, reverberating through the air like a forgotten melody waiting to be rediscovered. The dogs in the distance howled, their cries echoing through the night, punctuating the silence with an urgent plea that pierced the hearts of the onlookers. Each howl carried a weight of foreboding, a warning that something was amiss. Suddenly the wind shifted, carrying with it a metallic scent, sharp and intoxicating. It filled their lungs, a reminder of the extraordinary nature of the night. The smell was foreign yet familiar, evoking memories of summer rain and static electricity, as if the atmosphere itself was charged with something beyond human comprehension. The townsfolk exchanged uneasy glances, and in that moment, they knew they were no longer mere spectators. They were participants in a cosmic narrative that was unfolding before their eyes. As the silence deepened, a flicker of light danced once more at the edge of the field, momentarily illuminating the geometric patterns that had appeared earlier. They seemed to pulse, breathing in time with the rhythm of the earth, drawing the watchers closer, beckoning them to step into the unknown. The light flickered with an intelligence of its own, morphing shapes that twisted and turned, creating an intricate tapestry of cosmic symbols that transcended human understanding. Each pulse felt like a heartbeat, a communication from a realm that existed just beyond their perception. Martha stepped forward, compelled by an unseen force. The air thickened around her, wrapping her in a shroud of anticipation. With each step, the ground beneath her feet felt increasingly alive, vibrating with energy that resonated deep within her core. She could feel the pull of the patterns, the geometric designs seemingly alive, whispering secrets that echoed through time. "What do you want from us?" She breathed, her voice a mere whisper carried away by the wind, lost to the vastness of the cosmos. In response, the ground trembled slightly, sending a ripple through the air, and just as quickly, the flickering light extinguished, plunging the field into darkness once more. A collective gasp rose from the onlookers, a visceral reaction to the sudden absence of illumination, as though the very essence of the night had been snuffed out. It was a reminder of their vulnerability, standing on the precipice of understanding, teetering between the known and the unfathomable. "Did you feel that?" Tom's voice broke through the tension. A mixture of fear and wonder etched on his face. "It's alive." His eyes darted around, searching for the source of that energy, a palpable force that lingered in the air, wrapping around them like an embrace, yet suffocating in its intensity. The darkness felt heavier now, pressing down on them, a cloak of uncertainty that whispered of dangers yet unseen. And then, in the stillness that followed, a sound emerged from the shadows, an echoing resonance almost melodic that stirred something deep within each of them. It was a call, a beckoning from the depths of the cosmos, urging them to listen, to understand that the night was only a precursor to something far greater than they could imagine. The realization washed over them. They were not merely witnesses to an event. They were part of a cosmic tapestry, woven into a narrative that challenged the very fabric of their existence. As the echoes faded into a haunting silence, the townsfolk found themselves standing at the edge of a precipice, caught in the delicate balance between fear and awe. The night was pregnant with possibilities. Each breath they took filled with the weight of the unknown as the shadows around them deepened, hinting at the mysteries yet to be unveiled. They were no longer alone, and within the heart of that darkness lay a truth waiting to be discovered, a truth that would forever change the course of their lives. They stood united, yet isolated in their own thoughts, each grappling with the enormity of what lay ahead, the cosmic secrets that yearned to be revealed, and the chilling awareness that their journey had only just begun. The air hung thick with anticipation, a palpable tension that coursed through the crowd like electricity. In the abyss of darkness, they felt themselves becoming part of a grander design, their individual fears melding into a collective curiosity that transcended the ordinary. The melody from the shadows lingered, a haunting resonance that seemed to pulse with the very heartbeat of the earth beneath their feet. Each note vibrated against their ribcages, a reminder that they were alive, an undeniable connection to something beyond comprehension. As they stood there, the cold of the night seeped into their bones, a sharp contrast to the warmth of shared breaths and hushed whispers. The moon, once a guardian of clarity, now shrouded behind a veil of clouds, cast a muted glow that barely illuminated the cornfields, stretching endlessly into the night. Each stalk swayed gently, as if whispering secrets to one another, their rustling creating a language only the universe could understand. But there was something else, a flicker in the periphery, a movement that caught Tom's eye. "Look," he gasped, pointing toward the horizon where a dim, ethereal light flickered intermittently like a heartbeat. It danced just above the ground, weaving in and out of the darkened rows of corn. The light was not merely bright. It was alive, pulsating with a rhythm that seemed to sync with the very essence of existence. It drew them closer, a siren call that beckoned even the most skeptical among them to step forward, to witness the inexplicable. With hesitant steps, they moved as one, an unspoken agreement binding their resolve. As they approached, the light shifted, transforming into shapes that defied logic. Triangles, Circles, spirals, each one folding into the other with a precision that was both beautiful and unnerving. It was as if the very fabric of space had been manipulated, revealing a hidden geometry that resonated with the cosmos. The air crackled with energy, a chorus of low-frequency hums that vibrated through the ground and into their bones. It felt as though the earth was speaking, its ancient voice echoing through the fields, reminding them of the mysteries woven into the universe. Then, without warning, the light surged upward, illuminating the night sky with an otherworldly brilliance. The townsfolk shielded their eyes against the sudden glow, but it was not blinding. Rather, it enveloped them in warmth, a cocoon of safety amidst the chaos of their emotions. The geometric symbols shifted and morphed, expanding and contracting in ways that defied the laws of physics, each transition accompanied by a sound, a soft, melodic tone that resonated deep within their souls. A deep vibration rippled through the ground, and the air thickened, charged with a new intensity. The vibration seemed to synchronize with their heartbeats, an unspoken connection that transcended their understanding of time and space. They felt the pull of something greater than themselves, an intelligence beyond their comprehension, watching, waiting, aware of their presence. It was exhilarating and terrifying, a juxtaposition that left them breathless as they stood transfixed by the spectacle unfolding before them. The light then began to condense, spiraling down into the very center of the field, where the plants seemed to bow, bending as if in reverence. The ground trembled gently beneath them, a rhythmic pulse that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the cosmos. The air was thick with a metallic scent, sharp and invigorating, awakening their senses to the extraordinary nature of the unfolding events. They could hear the collective gasps of their companions, the low murmur of disbelief and awe mixing with the sounds of the night. A symphony of crickets, rustling leaves, and the occasional distant hoot of an owl, all drowning in the overwhelming presence of the light. Is it real? Someone whispered, the question hanging heavy in the charged atmosphere. It was a question that resonated with each of them. A fleeting thought that danced on the edge of their minds, threatening to unravel the very fabric of their understanding. Yet in that moment, the very nature of reality felt malleable, as if they stood on the precipice of a new truth that would redefine their existence. The unyielding grip of their fears was momentarily released, replaced by a sense of wonder that enveloped them like a warm embrace. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the light began to retract, pulling back into the shadows, leaving behind a fading echo of its brilliance. The geometric formations dissolved into the night, retreating into the depths of the cornfield as if they had never existed. A silence enveloped them, thicker than the darkness itself, and the absence of sound became a cacophony of its own, a reminder of the extraordinary encounter they had just witnessed. In the aftermath, their breaths came in quick gasps, each one laced with disbelief and a tinge of euphoria. They stood in the field, hearts racing, minds racing even faster, grappling with the enormity of what they had just seen. The night had transformed from a simple gathering into a moment of cosmic significance, one that would forever alter the very essence of their lives. It was a reminder that they were not merely inhabitants of this earth, but part of a grander design, woven into the fabric of a universe that held secrets yet unspoken. But as they began to process what had transpired, a creeping sensation wormed its way into their thoughts, the realization that the phenomenon was not over. The shadows around them seemed to thicken, a presence lingering just beyond their sight, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself once more. They were left with an unsettling feeling that something was still at play, something far beyond their understanding, lurking in the darkness, a silent observer of their every move. As the tension mounted, Tom turned to the others, his voice barely a whisper. "What if it comes back?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implications as they exchanged glances filled with uncertainty. They all felt it, the anticipation, the dread, the undeniable urge to find out what lay beyond the veil of their reality. And as they stood there, hearts pounding in unison, they understood that the night was far from over. The cosmos had more to reveal, and they were destined to uncover the secrets hidden within the shadows. The following morning, the world awoke to a peculiar calm, a stillness that felt both unsettling and oddly familiar. The sun rose over the horizon, casting long shadows across the fields, illuminating the remnants of the previous night's encounter. The air was cool, carrying a hint of moisture, and the dew on the grass sparkled like tiny diamonds. Yet, for those who had witnessed the extraordinary events under the starry sky, the beauty of the dawn was tinged with a sense of foreboding. The memory of the lights, the vibrations, and the geometric formations haunted their thoughts, intertwining with the mundane sounds of the waking world. Tom, Sarah, and Mark gathered once more at the edge of the cornfield, their footsteps muffled by the soft earth. They approached the very spot where the cosmic phenomenon had unfolded, the ground still trembling with echoes of the night. Each step felt heavy, as if the soil itself was laden with secrets, waiting to be unearthed. The air around them crackled with a tension that was palpable, a pregnant pause that hinted at the extraordinary lingering nearby. As they crossed the threshold of the cornfield, the sun's rays danced through the cornstalks, casting intricate shadows that flickered and swayed, creating an illusion of movement just at the edge of their vision. Sarah shivered, her breath hitching as she recalled the brilliance of the lights that had illuminated the darkness. "It was here," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Right here where it all happened." Tom, ever the skeptic, felt a gnawing unease. "We should just look for any signs, right? Maybe it was just a trick of the light." But even he was aware of the tremor in his voice, betraying the doubt that lingered in his mind. The rationality he clung to was slipping away like sand through his fingers. As they delved deeper into the cornfield, the sound of their footsteps was swallowed by the towering stalks, creating an eerie silence that enveloped them like a shroud. The wind picked up, rustling through the leaves, carrying with it a faint metallic scent, reminiscent of iron and electricity, a reminder of the otherworldly presence they had felt just hours before. It was as if the very air had transformed, charged with an energy that buzzed beneath their skin, heightening their senses to both the familiar and the alien. Suddenly Mark stopped, his eyes wide as he pointed ahead. "Look!" he exclaimed, his voice barely breaking the stillness. Before them lay an intricate pattern etched into the soil, a formation that seemed impossibly perfect in its geometry. The plants surrounding the area were bent at precise angles, their stalks folded with a delicacy that defied nature. The sight sent a shiver down their spines, a visceral reminder that what they had witnessed was not merely a figment of imagination. "Is this?" Sarah began, her voice trailing off as she stepped closer, her heart pounding in her chest. The formation was unlike anything they had seen before. Spirals intertwined with fractals, symbols that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The air thickened with a sense of purpose, a silent invitation to decipher the enigma laid before them. Tom knelt beside the formation, running his fingers over the earth, feeling the warmth radiating from the soil. "It's like it's still alive," he whispered, his mind racing with possibilities. But how could this happen? Who, or what, could do this? As they examined the intricacies of the pattern, the silence around them deepened, pressing against their ears like a weight. It was a silence that felt alive, humming with a tension that made the hairs on the back of their necks stand on end. The world outside seemed to fade away, leaving only the sound of their breaths mingling with the rustle of the wind, a symphony of uncertainty and fear. A low rumble echoed in the distance, a sound that seemed to emanate from the very ground beneath them, vibrating through their bones. "Did you hear that?" Mark asked, his voice cracking slightly. The sound was unlike anything they had encountered, a deep resonance that stirred something primal within them, a call from the unknown that sent chills racing down their spines. Suddenly, the birds that had been chirping in the distance fell silent, as if they too sensed the encroaching presence. An unsettling feeling washed over them, a realization that they were not alone. The sensation of being watched crept back into their minds, a whisper in the silence that sent shivers coursing through their veins. They were no longer just observers. They were participants in a game far beyond their comprehension. "What if it comes back?" Tom's voice broke the silence again, echoing his fear. The others exchanged glances, the weight of his words settling heavily in the air. The thought of the phenomenon returning was both thrilling and terrifying. They felt drawn to it, yet repelled by the unknown. As they stood in the presence of the formation, the air thickening with anticipation, Sarah reached out, her fingers hovering just above the geometric pattern. "What does it mean?" she asked, her voice trembling. It was a question that lingered unspoken among them, the essence of their fear and fascination distilled into a single inquiry. In that moment, the shadows around them seemed to deepen, the atmosphere thickening with an unspoken promise. It was as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling, revealing glimpses of a truth they were not yet prepared to face. A gust of wind swept through the cornstalks, carrying with it a whisper, a sound that felt like a message from beyond, a beckoning call from the cosmos that sent their hearts racing. "Maybe it's a warning," Mark suggested, his voice trembling with uncertainty. "Or maybe it's an invitation." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication, as they each processed the weight of what lay before them. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the shadows began to shift, and the feeling of being watched intensified, coiling around them like a vine. The moment was charged with a sense of urgency, a need to understand, to unlock the mysteries that lay hidden in the patterns of the field. They were drawn deeper into the enigma, a siren call pulling them toward an unfathomable truth that awaited just beyond their grasp. "What do you think this means?" Sarah asked, her eyes scanning the intricacies of the formation, as if searching for answers hidden within the folds of the earth. Do you think it's something human?" Tom shook his head, a mixture of fear and awe in his eyes. "I don't think this was made by us," he said, his voice steadying, a resolve settling over him. "This is something else, something not of this world." The weight of his words settled upon them, a shroud of uncertainty and dread that loomed over their small gathering. They were left standing at the precipice of the unknown, the boundaries of their reality stretching thin as they faced the shadows that flickered just beyond their vision. The cosmos had more to reveal, and they were destined to uncover what lay hidden within the depths of the cornfield, where the lines between the earthly and the ethereal blurred into an intricate dance of light and darkness. And then, without warning, a sound pierced the stillness. A low, harmonic hum that resonated through the air, sending vibrations through their very core. Every instinct screamed for them to flee, yet they remained rooted to the spot, caught between the allure of the unknown and the primal urge to escape. The cosmos had awakened, and they were but pawns in a game far greater than themselves. The revelation of the night was only just beginning. The sun's ascent painted the sky in hues of gold and silver, casting elongated shadows across the cornfield that now lay bare before them. The air was thick with tension, an electric charge that seemed to pulse in time, with the low hum reverberating through the earth beneath their feet. It was as if the very soil was alive, breathing, whispering secrets to those brave enough to listen. Each stalk of corn stood sentinel, their rustling leaves creating a symphony of sound that held a foreboding tone, echoing the uncertainty that filled the hearts of Sarah, Tom, and their companions. As they stood at the edge of the agroglypho, the geometric patterns etched into the earth took on an almost surreal quality. The spirals and fractals seemed to dance, enticing their gaze with an unearthly beauty. It was a language of shapes and lines, a message encoded in the very fabric of nature, yet one that they could not decipher. The impossibility of its existence weighed heavily upon them, as if the universe itself had conspired to create a riddle that would forever remain unsolved. What if it's more than just a message? Sarah pondered aloud, her voice trembling as she peered into the heart of the formation. She could feel the air around her thickening, the metallic scent of ozone mingling with the earthy aroma of the corn. It was a strange juxtaposition, one that heightened her senses and made her acutely aware of every tiny detail. The way the light refracted off the edges of the plants, the way the wind whispered in a language she could almost understand. What if it's a warning? Tom's eyes widened, his thoughts racing as he processed her words. The very idea sent a chill coursing through him, igniting a primal fear that had lain dormant since childhood. Warning or invitation, he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter the fragile veil of reality that surrounded them. What if we're not meant to be here? The harmonic hum intensified, a resonant frequency that seemed to align with the very heartbeat of the earth. It thrummed in his chest, a visceral reminder that they were not alone, that something otherworldly lingered just beyond their perception. The air thickened, and the shadows around them twisted in a way that defied the natural order. It was as if the cosmos, with its infinite mysteries, had reached down to touch the mundane, blurring the lines that separated them from the unknown. Suddenly, the shadows shifted, elongating and merging with the contours of the field. The formation pulsated, a living entity drawing them closer. Tom felt an inexplicable pull, an urge to step forward, to reach out and touch the smooth, bent stalks of corn that lay in intricate patterns, as if they were woven by invisible hands. He glanced at Sarah, who stood frozen, her eyes wide, reflecting the colors of the cosmos above. A kaleidoscope of fear and wonder. "Do you feel that?" she asked, her breath hitching as she pointed toward the sky. Above them, dark clouds had begun to swirl, forming a vortex that seemed to draw the very light from the sun. The air crackled with energy, and the hum morphed into a symphony of sound, low frequencies that resonated deep within their bones, punctuated by sharp, crystalline notes that danced like raindrops on glass. In that moment, the world around them faded, and all that remained was the agroglypho and the encroaching storm. The patterns on the ground glowed faintly, an ethereal light radiating from the center that beckoned them closer. It was mesmerizing and terrifying, a paradox that gripped their hearts with equal measures of awe and dread. "Maybe it's trying to communicate," Tom suggested, though his voice trembled with uncertainty, betraying the fear that gnawed at him. "Maybe we're meant to understand something greater than ourselves." As he spoke, the air shifted again, a whisper of movement that sent a shiver down his spine. The ground trembled beneath them as if responding to his words, and the hum crescendoed into a symphony of sound that surrounded them, enveloping them in an embrace both frightening and exhilarating. They were no longer mere observers. They had become part of the unfolding narrative, woven into the very fabric of the phenomenon that lay before them. The shadows around them morphed, coalescing into shapes that danced at the periphery of their vision. Tom blinked, trying to focus, but the figures remained elusive, flickering like candlelight in the wind. It was an invitation, a challenge, a beckoning from the unknown that stirred a primal instinct within him. He felt alive in a way he had never experienced before, the fear mingling with curiosity, a cocktail of emotions that urged him to take a step closer. "Should we?" Sarah's voice broke through the haze of uncertainty, fraught with hesitation, yet laced with a spark of determination. "What if we're meant to find out what this means?" Tom nodded, his heart racing, a mixture of fear and exhilaration flooding his veins. "We have to know," he replied, the words tumbling from his lips with a newfound resolve. "Whatever this is, it's bigger than us, bigger than anything we've ever encountered." The hum transformed into a melody, resonating with the very essence of the cosmos, and they inched closer to the formation, drawn by an invisible thread that connected them to the mysteries of the universe. As they stepped into the heart of the agroglypho, a wave of energy washed over them, and the world around them fell silent. The air thickened, a tangible force that pressed against their skin, and the shadows deepened, swallowing them whole. And then, in a fleeting moment of clarity, they understood that they were not merely witnesses to a phenomenon. They were participants in a cosmic dance, each step bringing them closer to the truth that lay hidden beneath the surface, a truth that would forever alter their perception of reality. The journey into the unknown had only just begun, and the revelations that awaited them would challenge everything they thought they knew about existence. As the silence enveloped them, a single thought reverberated in the stillness, echoing in their minds. What lies beyond this moment? The answer lingered just out of reach, shrouded in the veil of the unknown, waiting to be uncovered. And with it, the realization that the night would yield more than they could ever anticipate, a cosmic adventure that would forever tie them to the mysteries of the universe. The air was thick with anticipation as Tom and Sarah stood at the center of the agroglypho, engulfed in an otherworldly silence that felt both oppressive and liberating. The vibrant geometry of the crop formation surrounded them, a tapestry of intricate patterns that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Each line and curve whispered secrets, ancient codes that resonated with the very fabric of reality. It was as if the earth beneath them had awakened, a sleeping giant, revealing its truths in a language that danced beyond human comprehension. The hum that had drawn them closer now morphed into a symphony, a melody that vibrated through their bones, the notes weaving in and out of existence like ethereal threads binding them to something greater. Tom could feel the energy coursing through him, a potent mix of fear and exhilaration that ignited his senses. He glanced at Sarah, whose eyes sparkled with a blend of wonder and trepidation, reflecting the shimmering lights that flickered in the periphery of their vision. Something was watching them, but whether it was benevolent or malevolent, they could not tell. Suddenly, a low-frequency vibration rippled through the ground, resonating like the heartbeat of the planet itself. It was a sound that seemed to originate from the depths of the cosmos, an echo of distant stars and celestial bodies. They exchanged glances, their hearts racing as the realization dawned on them. They were not alone. The shadows around them shifted, elongating and twisting as if alive, and for a moment, time itself seemed to stand still, an unsettling pause that filled the air with an electric charge. "Do you feel that?" Sarah whispered, her voice trembling slightly as she pointed towards the edge of the formation. Tom strained his ears, and just beyond the familiar sounds of the night, a rustle of leaves, the distant call of an owl, there lay a new sound. A gentle whisper, almost like a language wrapped in the wind, beckoned them closer. It was as if the universe was speaking directly to them, revealing fragments of a cosmic truth that lay just beyond their grasp. The agroglypho itself seemed to shift in the dim light, the crops swaying in a rhythm that mirrored the pulsating energy around them. Tom stepped forward, drawn by an insatiable curiosity, the fear momentarily eclipsed by the allure of discovery. He reached out, fingers brushing against the stalks of wheat that glimmered like silver under the moonlight. And in that instant, a shock of cold radiated through his hand, an electric connection that sent a shiver up his spine. "Tom." Sarah's voice was sharper now, laced with urgency. He turned to see her face pale, eyes wide with both awe and terror. "Look." His gaze followed her pointing finger, and what he saw sent a chill coursing through him. Above the formation, the sky had erupted into a riot of colors, a swirling canvas of deep blues and vibrant purples, illuminated by streaks of light that danced like fireflies in the night. It was as if the cosmos had opened its vault, revealing a spectacle reserved for the bravest of souls. And yet, amidst the beauty, a profound sense of dread lingered. The lights were not merely a show of nature, but a harbinger of something far more complex. Behind the dazzling display, shadows began to coalesce, forming shapes that were only half formed and yet undeniably present. Tom felt his heart race as the realization struck him. These were not mere illusions. The entities they had sensed earlier were now more tangible, their presence palpable in the thickening air. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end, and he could feel a primal instinct clawing at his consciousness, urging him to flee, yet his feet remained rooted to the ground, captivated by the unfolding mystery. "Tom, we should go," Sarah stammered, her voice barely above a whisper, but he could see the conflict in her eyes, an internal battle between fear and fascination. What if they're trying to communicate? The words hung in the air like a fragile thread, and for a heartbeat, he considered the possibility. What if this was not an invasion, but an invitation, an opportunity to bridge the gap between their world and the unknown? Yet the weight of uncertainty pressed heavily upon him, suffocating the thrill of discovery. As if sensing their hesitation, the lights above shifted, intensifying, illuminating the agroglypho in a blinding brilliance that momentarily obscured their vision. The ground beneath them quaked, and the pulsating energy surged to a crescendo, a cosmic heartbeat echoing in tandem with their own. In that moment, everything coalesced into a singular experience, and Tom felt the boundaries of reality blur. He was no longer just a witness. He was part of a phenomenon that transcended human understanding. "Tom," Sarah cried out, her voice breaking through the haze of his thoughts. "Look." He turned, eyes wide, as a figure emerged from the shadows, an outline that defied logic, both there and not there, an entity that seemed to embody the very essence of the unknown. It shimmered, a silhouette against the backdrop of the vibrant lights. And in that fleeting moment, Tom understood that they were at the precipice of a revelation that would alter their lives forever. This was more than an encounter. It was a moment that would resonate through time, a connection forged between humanity and the cosmos. A wave of warmth enveloped him, a soothing presence that washed away the fear, and he felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. The air crackled with a charged energy, and as the figure pulsed with light, he realized they were being offered something profound, a glimpse into the mysteries of existence, an understanding that lay beyond the confines of their earthly lives. But just as quickly as it had begun, the brilliance dimmed, the figure receding into the shadows, leaving only whispers in its wake, a promise of knowledge yet to be revealed. The air grew heavy with silence, the symphony of the cosmos fading into a haunting echo, and Tom felt the weight of the moment settle upon him. In that instant, he knew there was no turning back. The experience had marked them, intertwining their fates with the enigmatic forces that governed the universe. As they stood in the aftermath, hearts racing and minds swirling with questions, a singular truth emerged from the depths of their souls. They were forever altered by the night, bound by a cosmic thread that would lead them deeper into the mysteries of existence. And as they turned to leave the agroglypho, A final whisper lingered in the air, a gentle reminder that the night held more secrets yet untold, waiting patiently for the next brave souls to seek the truth among the stars. If they thought this was the end, they were wrong. It was merely the beginning. If you want more stories like this, mysterious and real, stay with us and subscribe.